Did you know that you can train your mind to see composition subconsciously? Yes, we train him and later he's doing all the work for us. So how does it work? Well, the conscious mind, the one that is responsible for logic, reasoning, and making decisions, is incredibly slow. How many times did it happen to you that you see a good moment, but until you decide how to capture it, that moment is gone? And the reason for that slowness is this. The information throughput of the conscious mind is roughly 10 bits per second. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, can process information from sensory inputs like the eyes at 11 million bits per second. For the ones who are not into bits and bytes, it means that the unconscious mind can process information roughly 1.1 million times faster. And while I'm not sure how these numbers are measured, one thing is clear. Subconscious mind is way, way faster. So why not use our subconscious mind to make decisions related to our photography? To be able to do that, that subconscious mind needs to be trained first. But first, let me explain a few things. A request that I get from you often is to describe my process, or even to record how do I do things exactly. And as much as I want to share that information with you and show you my decision process, it's not really possible, simply because most of my decisions on the field are done subconsciously. My subconscious mind notices that something is interesting. It analyzes the trajectory of the movement of the subject, of the scene, the light, the other objects, and it sends my body to intercept and position myself in the right place. So I'm not the one who is doing the decisions actively. A lot of that is processed in the back of my mind. Now, if I try to record it on camera and explain the exact process that is happening inside of my mind, we would lose the moment. Speech is just too slow. It's even slower than the conscious mind. Every time I tried to do so, I ended up not liking the result. I either focused more on the talking or I was just taking photographs without really explaining anything. Doing both at the same time was counterproductive. And there is a reason why this is not possible. We often think that we are very good at multitasking, but it's not entirely true. What we call multitasking is often actually task switching. The human brain is generally not wired to process two complex attention demanding tasks at the same time. Instead, it flips back and forth between them. So, actively scanning the street, planning the composition, recording, and explaining what I do at the same time is borderline impossible. Some parts of the process will be neglected. And it's not that I didn't try. There are a few POV videos on the channel, but they are all failed to give that value that I wanted to. In the ones where I explain things better, I failed to support the explanation with proper images. On the others, where I do manage to capture interesting images, I don't really explain much. And the reason is the mind. It struggles with multitasking. But where we are good at multitasking? Well, we can listen to music and exercise at the same time, drive our car and be engaged in a conversation, and all kinds of tasks like this. On the surface, it looks, yes, we perform two tasks at the same time. But in fact, we perform only one task that is cognitively dominant. And if we split it into the mind-driven tasks, we will find that that one task is processed by the conscious mind and the other one by the subconscious. For example, we're using our subconscious mind to drive the car, but the conscious mind to be engaged in the conversation. So why I'm telling you all this? I'm telling you this simply because we are so used to task switch between things that we don't really notice that we are preventing ourselves from getting deeper into the learning process. There is a reason why I always suggest to photograph alone and keep your phone in the back. We want to remove distractions so we can immerse ourselves in the process and activate deep subconscious learning. But why doing this? Why training the subconscious? What will training of the subconscious mind will actually give you? Well, your brain processes information multi-seconds faster than your conscious thought. It handles the flow and the reaction in street photography. This is actually who should be driving the car. Developing your subconscious mind will improve your timing. That split-second impulse to press the shutter button, it matters. If you consciously think he's stepping into the light and I should press the button now, you're already too late. Imagine that you're standing on the street with a camera and suddenly you hear a noise. With the corner of your eye, you notice that there is a child running. You decide to respond and capture the child. You have about 2 seconds until he passes you. Do you stop and start doing a decision-making process, or do you respond automatically? I bet you respond automatically. This is the subconscious mind in action. But with a well-trained mind, your ability to capture such a moment will increase. An experienced photographer or beginner will have an absolutely different automatic response to such a situation. A beginner will most likely remain standing on the same spot, point the camera, and try to capture the child technically, and in a rush. There is a high chance that he will miss focus or there will be motion blur because the settings were not right or he was just too excited and his hands were shaking. He doesn't have the right muscle and mental memory yet. He's operating from his conscious mind and the fast moment is often faster than the response and is just overwhelming. An experienced photographer has spent years training his visual perceptions and his muscle memory. He can easily recognize other visual elements at the same time as the child. As the child gets closer, he will automatically switch his focusing mode to tracking and activate continuous shooting. Together with that, he will make a step back or to the side or whenever is necessary, composed the most effective way because the visual processing capacity and automatic action sequence of someone who has been trained his subconscious for years is just higher. When I teach photography composition, there is a question that I hear very often. But are you really look for all these things that you are talking about before taking a shot? And my answer is yes, I do. But this is not me actively looking and analyzing the scene. Because I have done this intentional and active looking and making composition decisions for many times, a lot of time that's done subconsciously. A lot of the visual part has been taken care of for me. I just change my position and my subconscious mind says little to the left, little to the right, and bang, you have it. You will get better at noticing patterns, noticing that the woman with the red coat matches the red stop sign in the background. Your subconscious will see visual connections before you can even describe them. You will subconsciously notice that there is a distraction that should be out of the frame. If you tend to use the same focal length for a while, you will develop spatial awareness. You will know exactly where the camera is in relation to your body and subject without looking. And without even noticing, you will find yourself on the right distance to take the photograph. You'll be much better at reading body language, sensing that the person is about to turn around, smile, get angry. You feel the joy in the air before it manifests visually. That will help you developing this anticipation skill that is so needed for street photography. I'm convinced. How do I proceed? How do I train the subconscious mind? So the first part of training our subconscious mind would be to remove unnecessary distractions. And the first distraction that we will deal with is technical friction, any task that requires the activation of the conscious mind. Your conscious mind just loves to obsess over settings. If you're fiddling with dials, you're interrupting the flow. This is the reason why I push my students to master their camera settings and remove the camera from the conscious thinking process. Make it like driving. Put the camera operation into the subconscious. Yes, that takes some effort, but the reward is massive. You need to minimize any technical decisions. I shoot manual with auto ISO and adjust the exposure with the exposure compensation dial. It removes the need to consistently adjust the exposure every time you point the camera at that area with different lighting. But if that makes things complicated for you, simplify even more. Work with AV or TV or program mode. Get the camera out of the way. The next one would be to simplify your setup. Use one lens per session. That removes the need of the conscious mind to think which lens it should use now. Use a prime lens. That narrows down the calculating of potential compositional possibilities. With a prime lens, you're focused on everything, let's say at 50mm from you. So you ignore that far away or too close, and you're narrowing down your vision to suit the 50mm. There's less information to process. Now, to feed your subconscious, you're essentially going to program a part of your brain called reticular activating system, or in short, RAS. Without getting too deep into the science of it, this is the filter that decides what information is important. Think of it like buying a new car. You have browsed the internet and you decided that you're looking for a certain model, and now you consider buying it. You have never noticed that specific model on the streets before, but the moment you are considering to buy one, you see it everywhere. This is how RAS works. So how do we do it? Don't just look at photos. You must physically engage with them. Take a photo book of a master like Cartier-Bresson or Alex Webb and some tracing paper. Place the paper over a photo and use a marker to trace only the geometry. Ignore the faces. Trace the triangles of light, the leading lights, and the shapes of the shadows. By moving your hand, you're teaching your brain to prioritize structure over subject. Later on, it will subconsciously know how to frame the scene in front of you. You can use a digital photo and some drawing tools on a tablet to achieve similar result, but working with a real book just feels better to me. The next one would be to work with a single task. If you go out looking for everything, your processor will overheat and you will see nothing. Go for a walk with only one specific command. Today, I only see triangles. Do not take any picture unless there is a triangle element in it. After 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, your brain will switch modes. You will stop seeing people and start seeing geometry. In the description of this video, there is a street photography toolkit. One of the files in it has a bunch of these exercises. You can download it for free. The next one is the Tetris effect. If you play Tetris for 5 hours, you will see falling blocks whenever you close your eyes. You want that effect for your photography. So before going out, spend 15-20 minutes looking at specific type of images, like high contrast black and white. Flood your brain with this visual language right before walking out of the door. And then outside, you will notice that you're paying attention exactly to the same things. Analyze images or the scene structure. Observe for the basic elements. You can squint your eyes to ignore the details. Look for shapes, lines, patterns, and contrast. Deconstruct the rules of thirds, framing, and balance. Try drawing the basic structural lines on images that you admire. In the same toolkit, you will find a framework on how to analyze an image. Use that too. And the last would be to reward your subconscious. You must tell your subconscious when it did a good job. When reviewing your photographs, look at patterns that look well. If you find a photo where you captured a perfect shape, stop, look at it for a moment, and say to yourself, this is what I want, and that will reward your subconscious. All these need to be repeated and done as often as possible. If you can try, put yourself on a schedule. That's very helpful. On day 1, trace 10 photographs of a master. On day 3, walk and look for light and shadow contrast. On day 5, walk looking only for the color red. On day 7, review the photos and flag the ones where the patterns worked and celebrate this with your subconscious. Now, how do we activate the subconscious mind on the street? How do we get into that flow? On days that you are not doing any specific exercises, let yourself wonder, have you noticed that if you give yourself a destination like getting to the beach, your mind will fixate on getting there and ignore the photographic opportunities on the way? Your brain filters out irrelevant visual data, so just give yourself a task to explore the way from photographic point of view until you get to the beach. Follow the visual clues. If you see a splash of red down the alley, turn and follow it. If you hear a noise, go after it. There might be something interesting happening there. If you see a nice patch of light, go and see what is under that light. Stop chimping. Don't look at the result every image shot. If you have image preview activated, switch the thing off right away. It breaks your flow. Photograph for a few minutes, and then when you feel that you're done, then go through the images to see what you can improve. Get bored. The subconscious often activates when the conscious mind is understimulated. Stay in a corner of a street until you feel you have seen everything and let the mind get bored. That's when you start noticing the little things and even the light. Shut down the inner critic. Your conscious mind is an editor. It says, that's not a good shot. This is not worth capturing, or that person might get mad. You need to shut that guy up and instead continue scanning the street and photograph when you have an inner impulse to do so. Whenever you have the impulse, raise your camera and take the shot. Later on, you will figure out why did you have this impulse to do that. A photographer passes through certain stages until he becomes competent. This model was developed by Noel Birch, an educational psychologist. The model is not developed specifically for photographers, but applies to it very well. The first stage is unconscious incompetence. The photographer is unaware of their lack of skill. They simply enjoy taking photos. You don't know what you don't know. This is where the person thinks that better photo comes from better cameras. Second stage is conscious incompetence. You become aware of your lack of skill. For instance, after receiving feedback, you realize your compositional skills need some improvement. Or you start simply seeing that your photos are not as good as the ones you see and like. This is the stage when the photographer is pushed to learn, when he pushes himself to learn. The third stage is conscious competence. You already have some compositional knowledge and understanding of light. You're capable to operate your camera and have some decent photographs. You can use the skills, but it requires conscious effort and concentration. You need to stop, check your settings, analyze the scene, and then you can compose and take the shot. And the last stage is unconscious competence. The skills becomes second nature. You can perform it with a little of thought. A seasoned photographer changes the settings almost automatically and effortlessly composed without overanalyzing the scene. This is the stage we want to be in. The whole journey of a photography growth is actually moving tasks from the conscious pile to the subconscious pile, and moving from the stage of unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. I hope it was helpful. See you next time. Happy shooting, and I'm apologizing for the noise. I'm just traveling and I cannot do anything about that. Happy shooting.